Welcome back, you're listening to Tunisia International Radio, and here in the studio we have Mr. Ameur Jeridi. Do you want me to call you Mr. Ameur Jeridi or Ameur Jeridi? What do you prefer? Okay, welcome to see.
Hello.
So, could you please introduce yourself to the ones who don't know you?
Once again.
Once again, yeah, sure.
Well, I was activist, civil society activist, especially in the environment and sustainable development issues. And then after the revolution, we adhered to the political process. And
you will tell us about who are these?
We, those who have
chosen the
their
track
will to work in politics, to become politicians, right? Young people and less young people like myself. And we started, as far as our group is concerned, a number of civil society leaders. We started our Citizenship Movement party, which is a really centrist movement. Of course, we took part in the elections. We didn't win any seat, but we did participate anyway.
But you won the experience.
In that process, democratic process, because it needed participants. There were too many participants, but it's better than no participants at all. And after the elections, of course, all new parties and other parties had to group to make coalitions, you know, to rationalize the political landscape.
What do you mean by to rationalize the political landscape?
That is, we had, we still have, in fact, at least from a legal point of view, we still have about 120 parties. It's nonsense, of course. It shouldn't go on like that. In term, we should have just a couple of parties in place, leftists, rightist parties, and conservative, that is, and then centrist parties. And in the center there is a vacuum. There isn't one or two or three big forces, centrist forces, because the majority of Tunisians are like that. They are centrist. They are both authentic and modern at the same time. And it's an equation we have lived with for at least the last 5 or 6 decades.
Does this mean you pretend that your party is authentic and modern at the same time?
Of course. So when you say centrist, it should be like that.
It depends on the interpretation of
when you talk of the center, well, some Islamic parties they say we are center. Some left parties say we are center.
And some pretend.
Well, they all pretend, in fact. But there isn't a real
whether they are from the left or from the right
party. Unfortunately, maybe the truly centrist party is the previous RCD, and the previous Syrian party, and so you see. But it's no longer there. In fact,
things have changed.
I mean, and even attempts to unite into one big party out of the tradition would have no big chance.
It failed in the past.
Yes, it's because it's really part of the past. The revolution, you know, has come up with ideals, with young people's ideals, and with some of their elders' ideal, which is freedom and dignity.
Do you mean the Syrian party has no future in Tunisia?
I mean, some people, and I'm among them, don't think that it has a chance to become again one day a ruling party.
Why?
They are. Because now there are 7 or 8 or 10
new parties
out of that party, and there is no way between their leaders who are old, who belong to the old school, unfortunately, no agreement between them. So there is a leadership quarrel all the time. And then once you have a big institution which falls down, it's not so easy to reconstruct it.
Sure.
You see, so at least half the Tunisian population is in need and expects one new force, one new party, one new political formation to emerge. You know, and which reflects what works deeply into every Tunisian citizen, young or less young.
Later we will talk about the new political party and coalitions, but what about the future of the citizenship movement?
Now, so we are, for the last 3 months, we are leaders from the citizenship movement, from Al Wifaq party, from the modern leftist party, and from the Liberty of Freedom and Development Party. We are working on a new concept.
A new concept or a new coalition?
No.
Or both?
No, and I mean, it's a coalition which works on a new concept. New. It's not. It would not. It will be no surprise as the ideas and ideals, the principles, the discourse will be that of most Tunisian people. It will be a surprise insofar as we'll talk a language which nobody is talking now.
Which language? I think you have to explain.
The language of the people.
What is the language of the people?
It's not literary language, it's not legalese or legal language, it's not official language, it's not the language of concepts, it's not esoteric, you know.
It does not require translation and interpretation.
I mean,
it's easy and accessible.
That's it. I mean, accessible language and sincere, especially sincere. I mean, that will not use just mottos to attract people to vote for us. No, we'll say the truth to them. We'll not say that we will ensure 300,000 employment jobs for young people in 1 year. We'll say, no, that's impossible, and nobody can do that in such a short period of time.
And do you think you'll get elected with this truth, with this reality?
Yeah.
With this realism?
Yeah, that's it. Now, you have already concluded that we are realistic. And of course, we will be pragmatic, positively pragmatic, dealing and starting from what the people needs. I mean, and what the people needs. What the people need is what the country needs.
It reminds me of a very interesting proverb. Dear optimist, pessimist and realist, while you guys were busy arguing about the glass of water, I drank it. Sincerely, the opportunist.
No.
No?
Well, far from that. If you were opportunist, you would have won some seats. All the four parties won no seats.
I told you to get ready for these questions because we would like to understand what's going on the political scene in Tunisia. I think we will have a short break with music, and we will come back to talk about this coalition of four political parties in Tunisia. Our next track, and we'll be back. Ameur Jeridi, tell us about the mission and the vision of this new coalition.
Yes, so I'm not now from the...
Because you pretend that you have a mission and a vision.
Of course. Now,
different from the 140 political
just
parties.
A small correction, I'm not from the Citizenship Movement now. I used to be.
You used to.
Now I'm in the MCR in French, Mouvement Citoyenneté et Réforme. So Citizenship and Reform Movement. So it's CRM.
You just added the reform to the movement.
Yeah. Now, our vision is the following, translated from Arabic. It's already done, already constructed. It's architecture, it's statement, the statement of vision. So CRM is a national initiative, partisan, which is centrist and reformist and mass party, حزب جماهيري.
What do you mean by mass party? Do you think in the 21st century it's possible to have mass parties in Tunisia?
No, what we mean by mass party, that is, it is not an elitist party. You see? So it's, I mean...
to the masses, the party of the masses.
That's it. It should be the mirror of deep Tunisians. And it's a party project based on, basically, I mean, it is based on the Tunisian Arab-Muslim identity first, and with a holistic, multi-sided approach to public affairs, to political issues, to development, and on a credible, patriotic citizenship and participation basis.
This requires translation. What do you mean by holistic position?
That is, we don't look at public affairs, at development, at economy from a leftist, from a Marxist point of view, neither from a purely Islamic point of view, neither from a purely liberal point of view.
It's a milkshake.
I mean, milkshake, mixture, melting pot of ideas, call it whatever, however you like. But it's there. Right? The genius is how to take from here and from there and make an entity which is homogeneous and which is convincing and which is, working.
Who are your partners in this new coalition?
No, so we are leaders, political leaders from four
Could you
new
name some of
parties,
them?
which
Or all
are
of them?
Al-Wifaq parties. So Wifaq means
Yeah,
consensus.
who are the leaders of these parties?
Now, the president of Al-Wifaq party is now the coordinator. Now we are working on that. So he is
Of the coalition.
leader.
Uh-huh.
And a group of about 30 people from the political boards of the different parties. Now we are meeting on a regular basis, twice and three times a week, working on a methodological basis. That is, we are everything is planned, you know, in group. And
You talk, you discuss about your priorities,
that's it.
and then you make
That's it.
decisions.
That's it. That is now we. I mean,
Nothing is done independently.
sorry.
No, nothing is done independently.
No. Well, I mean, everything is worked out together.
So it's a democratic process within
Sure.
within the coalition.
That's governance.
But excuse me, Mr. Ameur Jeridi, you could have joined one of the coalitions of the existing coalitions on the political scene in Tunisia.
None of them is convincing.
None of them is convincing.
Not for us.
Okay.
And at least for.
I think you will have to explain.
Yes.
And the second argument.
Yes, and at least for 50% of Tunisians, they are not convincing. Why? Because every political formation or coalition has in its background an ideology or a religion, and they are close to that. They say they are centrist, but somewhere in their minds, you know, Marx lives here, and I don't know, Farabi or Hanbal or Muhammad Abdul lives here, is somewhere lying, you know, in their spirits, in their minds. Now, when we say we are centrist, Marx is right in looking at economy, in a way, just like Ibn Khaldun is right. And we chose Ibn Khaldun and his teachings, let me say, to be one of the references or one of the ideological between the economists references. We took also Edgar Morin, the French thinker and philosopher, who has a centrist outlook and look and proposal to humanity.
Don't you think this is a kind of contradiction?
What?
Talking about Marx on the one hand and Ibn Khaldun on the other hand?
Now, Marx, what did Marx do? Marx explained facts, explained that capitalism exploits people's sweat.
Yeah.
So Marx helps us understand and read that. But Ibn Khaldun also has a reading to economy in his time. When you look at economy from here and from there, you can come up with the right way of dealing with economy. Developing economy.
Do you pretend to have this right way of dealing with the economy and with social problems in your new coalition?
Well, in our new coalition, we have a holistic point of view. For example, we don't look at economy alone or at social matters alone.
They are interconnected.
That's it. So we have a sustainable development view. Sustainable development is not only a green outlook to development. It's green, it's humanist, it's pragmatic, it's intelligent, because when you earn money, there is a social side to it, and there is an environmental side to it. When you try to protect the environment, it can be your job.
Yeah.
Protecting the environment can be a job. So at the same time, you protect natural resources while enriching and fostering economy and job creation.
Do you think you will have a bright future with this coalition?
We do believe that we will have a bright future, because
How do you believe?
Because the idea is strong. You know, the world is governed by ideas.
Do you think
by law?
Having ideas is enough?
No, wait. So the ideas, the law,
Organization.
and of course, I mean, all these need method and organization. So even when you think, if you think properly, that means you think methodically. That is, you produce well-constructed ideas. But if the ideas are just fuzzy things which you repeat, without clear conceptions of them. Of course, they would not pass to people clearly. So when you ask me, what do you mean, for example, by citizenship? I say that citizenship is an ideal, it's an objective, it's a value which is at the same time moral and social and cultural and political and legal.
Wow. It's obvious that you are working on your communication, on the communication of this new coalition with all these details. What is the priority of the new coalition?
Now, the priority was setting up the concept, the mission, vision, and objectives. And
What's
then,
next? What's next?
Next is a global, general communication strategy, and a workshop, an internal workshop, will be organized to put the outlines of our communication strategy, because there is a deficit, a lack of communication. We don't know how to communicate. Our politicians don't know how to communicate. Because when you communicate, you should take into
account many facts.
This is from Old Greek. That there is logos, ethos, and pathos.
Some of them do not take
logic.
anything into consideration.
Of course.
That's not.
You see? And I mean, all life is communication. Politics is communication at the basis. I mean, for you to believe in me, and in the final step, you say, I'll give my vote to him or to that party. It's because the message went across to you in front of many proposals. So you find that this is more sincere, this is more logical, right? I believe in that person. I will no longer believe in that other person to whom I gave my voice, and when I gave him the chance, I saw nothing.
Do you have an idea about the number of people who have already joined the coalition and who might join the coalition in the coming months?
Now we are a group of about 30 people from the leaders of 4 parties.
Are they all teachers, or they belong to different sectors, different
men,
backgrounds?
women, people who have studied. Most of us have studied at university, but we have even previous officers in the army who are with us. So even we have leaders from different backgrounds: political leaders, civil society leaders, army leaders.
So you don't believe in just one leader. You believe in leadership, but in a shared leadership.
That's it. It's shared, but we should have
at least one.
I mean, one who is the coordinator, who is the leader.
The one you have talked about, Mr. What's his name?
Mr. Mustafa Sahab al-Taba.
Give us an idea about the background of.
He used to be he was a commander in the army. He decided to engage in the army, but and he served in the deep desert of Tunisia. In the West Sahara, in Polisario, and he was a very successful commander, but then he decided to resign from the army because he found out under Ben Ali that the army was not considered, and he went into the business world.
And now he's in politics.
Yeah, he's a businessman, not very rich businessman, but that's his.
Is he the one who's going to fund the coalition?
No, I mean, that's another strategy, funding.
Tell us about.
Now we are contributing, of course.
You have 1 minute to tell us about this strategy, the funding strategy.
I will not say it. Maybe
it's a secret.
But anyway, it's at the same time a communication. So it's part of the general communication strategy: how to address people, how to address donors, how to address citizens, how to address institutions. I mean, it is explained, the way is shown, and then roles are distributed.
I like the idea of working on the communication strategy of the Citizenship and Reform Coalition. So what is your message to the Tunisian and the Tunisian people and the expats who are listening to you on the international service?
Now, to Tunisians, we say to them that we are going to be a new party, a real party, an authentic party, both authentic and open in a balanced equation, you know, between both, which is proper to Tunisians and which should be translated at political level now that Tunisia is open to democracy.
I'm expecting you to share the link to the Citizenship and Reform Coalition, whether it's a Facebook page or maybe in the future you will have a website. On our Facebook page, RTCI, the English Language Program. Join us and don't forget to click like. Mr. Ameur Jeridi, not from Citizenship Movement, but from the Citizenship and Reform Movement. Thank you for joining us on Tunis International Radio. I hope you will be back in the coming months to tell us about the projects of this coalition. I also would like to thank Houda Derdouri from the Congress for the Republic, a new member who's recently replaced Mohamed Abu at the Constituent Assembly. I would like to thank the maestro Qaiser Bouzriba. Next, a news update in French and the Italian language program with Adel Chaouachi today. Join me tomorrow on the International Service of Radio Tunis and stay tuned to RTCI. Bye bye.
يعطيك الصحة. برافو.